It is pouring rain here in California. And quite frankly, it feels like Florida right now. And speaking of Florida,
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
hello, baseball fans, and good morning. And welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all the Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they're calling it these days, and on Instagram. You can follow me. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. But the best way to get a hold of me is right here on the YouTube channel. And leave your messages right down there in the comments. And if you listen to us every day and you comment on all these wonderful pieces of social media that's just making the world better now, make sure to leave that hashtag everyday Sully, because that helps us figure out who's listening to us and gives us an idea of how many people are listening. And I don't know, maybe we'll send you a fruit basket. I'm not quite sure why you want to know that. And yeah, we're doing this here on Saturday morning. Riley comes and says, "Happy Saturday, go grab a beer." Yeah, it's 10 o'clock in the morning here in California. I'm not a beer drinker either, but I appreciate the sentiment. Um, it's pouring. It's absolutely downpouring right here in Los Angeles County, which I have no idea how that's going to affect. That we have some ball games going. We got a Dodger game going on later today at Chavez Ravine. We're going to talk about the pitching the Dodgers have. That they at least that they faced yesterday, because there's something I want to bring up, not about the Dodgers, but about their opponent. But first and foremost, we're going to talk about the trivia question. The last show I did a show on Thursday, which was my my little sort of Indiana Jones searching for the lost stadium in Sacramento, or technically, as some people get on me about this, technically West Sacramento, which is its own city in a different county. And I get the people who say, well, if you're going to insist on call them the West Sacramento ways. But, I think of it the same way as the New York Giants and the New York Jets don't play in New York. They play in New Jersey, but we still call them the New York Jets, so we still call them the New York Giants. The San Francisco 49ers play in Santa Clara, which is two counties away from San Francisco. So, let's ease up on the semantics a little bit here. But, John Murphy Jr., who's at Everyday Sully, says, "Good afternoon." I say, "Well, it's good morning here." Good to see you, buddy. The trivia question I did have a trivia question on that one because I recorded that on location a couple of weeks ago. So it was on the last time I did a trivia question was on the episode where I did on Jim Eisenreich. And the question I asked was, when Jim Eisenreich's had to leave the game because of his neurological condition, who was called up to take his place? And my good friend Cubs fan had the correct answer. I guess I forgot to put a little banner on there, but the correct answer was Kirby Puckett. Jim Eisenreich had to be put basically on the disabled list because of his this Tourette syndrome. And up came Kirby Puckett. And with that, in '84, started the chain reaction that led directly to the 1987 World Series title. Now, around the time that Puckett was coming up and Eisenreich was going down, there was a lot of questioning if the Twins were going to be able to stay in Minnesota. The Twins were having a terrible time putting a competitive product on the field, and they hadn't really contended since the 1970s, but the attendance was plummeting. They just built a stadium. At the time, a state-of-the-art stadium called the Metrodome, which, if anyone remembers the Metrodome, it looked like a souffle in the middle of Minneapolis. And it was a multi-purpose stadium because that's what they built back then, because they make sense. they make sense to have a stadium that we're going to spend all this money. Let's not have it sit empty for 90% of the year. So it was designed for both the Vikings and for the Twins, and they also had many other sporting events there, including the NCAA basketball finals. It was a weird looking stadium where they had a big tarp over the seats in right field, and it looked like a hefty bag. And they were having trouble people drawing fans there because they weren't any good. The Vikings were pretty good, but the Twins weren't. And there was a big movement in the mid 80s that may have led the Twins to move to another city. Now, the Pollard family bought it from the Griffith family, but lots of teams in the 80s were rumbling about, maybe we should move. And there were three cities really, that had stadiums ready to go because they were multi-purpose parks. Mile High Stadium in Denver, Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami, and RFK Senior Stadium in Washington. But that's when Tampa Bay got into it and said, heck with this, let's build ourselves a baseball stadium. And that's when they built the Trop, what was originally called the Suncoast Dome, later became the Thunderdome, and then now became Tropicana Field. And at that moment, we started the drama of baseball in Central Florida, which has led us to this moment here. The St. Petersburg Stadium has such a strange history because it was either the place that everyone wanted to go to, or the minute they started playing baseball there, it was where MLB wanted to get out of. There was never a sweet spot. There was never a honeymoon. There was never a moment where it all came together and said, yes, finally it's working, which is kind of the odd tragedy of baseball in Tampa Bay, that, in my opinion, they never got a fair shot. They built the stadium trying to get the Twins, Rangers, Giants, first expansion, Mariners. All these teams were trying to lure them over. There was one, I think the Rangers were kicking around the idea. And so they built this stadium in the 80s, not knowing what we were going to, the stadium renaissance that we were going to have with Camden Yards, showing here's how you do it. You build in the downtown, you give an old-fashioned feel. They built this strange UFO that landed in the middle of St. Petersburg, the wrong place. It should have been in Ybor City or downtown Tampa, but they built it there. It's inconvenient to get there for a lot of people, and the stadium's kind of ugly and all this other stuff. And the minute it opened, there was a little bit of, this kind of sucks, doesn't it? And almost from the start, and when they first played their games in 1998, there was a sense of, we got to get out of this thing. There was never a moment where it felt like, this is great. In a way, it kind of reminds me of the Metrodome that way, that the Metrodome never had that moment where it felt like, man, this is a really cool state-of-the-art stadium. I remember most people had never really seen the Metrodome until the 1987 World Series and saying, what the heck is this place? But by that point, there was a certain charm to it. There was a charm to the Metrodome because, first of all, the Twins won the freaking World Series there. And there was a sense of, this place is weird, but it's our weird place. And it just so happened they won 2 World Series there. The second World Series was the single greatest World Series I ever saw. There was no sweet spot for the Tampa Bay fans to show what good fans they are. And they are good fans. First of all, the ones who actually show up and take the drive to freaking St. Petersburg, salute them. And if you look at the television ratings and the download rating and all this stuff, the media ratings and the radio, all the stuff, they have a good following. They just don't show up in the seats. And I absolutely believe if they had worked out a plan to put it right in downtown Tampa, they would get a following similar to the Tampa Bay Lightning, who draw well and have a very solid fan base. Tampa Bay is a good sports region. But we have reached a point right now where that's academic. We've reached a point right now where there's a certain inevitability. And I've seen this happen. I saw this happen with Montreal. I saw this happen post-strike Montreal. They're playing in the Olympic Stadium. Everyone knows it's not working. They're having trouble drawing fans who have been completely had the rug pulled from them after the 94 strike. And there was a moment where, especially when they knew they were not going to get the Labatt's downtown stadium funded, there's a moment where we were not turning back. We can't turn back. It's not going to work. We're never going to come back. There's too much bad blood between baseball, the city, and management, and the stadium is never going to emerge. I saw that with Montreal. I saw that with Oakland. Now, this was a completely self-inflicted wound by that idiot Fisher, but there was a moment in the middle of the 2023 season where it was like, oh, there's not going to be a Howard Terminal Stadium. There's not going to be a San Jose Stadium. There's not going to be a stadium in the middle of the Coliseum where they sort of redevelop it. It's not going to happen. And it's sad when that moment happens. It's kind of like when a relationship ends. Like, we're not coming back from this, are we? You get that sense it's not going to happen. And I'm getting that with Tampa Bay, that they had a deal to turn that region of the downtown, where downtown St. Petersburg, into a new city or something, like, Delta City from RoboCop, is they're going to build there in the middle of St. Petersburg. The Rays pulled the plug on that. They ripped the top off of the Trop. Now they're going to spend like $60 million to put a Band-Aid on the Trop. Why? So they can total it in a couple of years? So they can go back to playing there? Where are they going to play after that? There's no plan there's no investors or a plan to build anything in Ybor City or Tampa Bay. They'd have to negotiate that with everything. And there's a sense of, oh my God, is this really going to happen? Is this really going to work? And that's when the news about Orlando came up the other day that made me say, I think the move to Orlando, which just a month ago seemed like a smokescreen, kind of feels inevitable. Hey, did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn your TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console is required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles, including EA Sports College Football 25, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and Avowed. And it's easy to stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Now, you've got 4K streaming. You could watch more than 1.5 billion movies on TV and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. I've been catching up on one of my favorite British shows called Bottom. It's hilarious, and it's on Prime Video, and I never thought I'd see it again, and I'm laughing like crazy. But if you're not into watching the old classics, what you can do, you can play the new classics. My sons love to play the Star Wars Battleground on there, and they do it through the Fire TV. With Wi-Fi 6, 6E, and auto-low latency mode, advanced technology, Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother and more responsive gameplay with lightning-fast speeds that you need to stay competitive. Play high-quality Xbox game at a fraction of the cost of the console. You already have a console? Then a Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel, with allowing you to take you and at least my son's games, because they play wherever they go. Here's what you do. You head on to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller are required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, second generation, Fire TV Stick 4X Max, first and second generation, and the Fire TV Cube, third generation. Yeah, that Amazon read I just did right there. I think I know what I said. Let's go. The news that came out the other day, the Orlando Dreamers have been around a while. They've been trying, this organization has been around since the expansion in the 1990s, where they were hoping that baseball would expand into Orlando and not Tampa Bay. But there was no chance of that happening because there was already a stadium built in St. Petersburg to represent Tampa Bay. That's why it was inevitable they're also going to expand into Denver and Miami. But now they smell the blood in the water. The deal is dead in St. Pete. St. Pete and Pinellas County will not negotiate with certainly the current ownership of the Rays. I'm sure Tampa would like them as they're playing the 1 year in the George Steinbrenner minor league facility for the Yankees, but the Yankees don't want them playing there for more than a year. This is all right, I'll give you a year, but then, this is like your friend crashing on the couch. You could stay here overnight, but I don't want you staying here long. So they don't really have a place to play next year. They're not going to have the Trop ready to go by next year. Okay? I'm sorry, folks. It's more than just putting a tarp over it. The damage done on a stadium that has no drainage is huge. And along comes the Dreamers, who have had investors. They have a front man in Hall of Famer Barry Larkin. And according to a report from, I'm reading this from the SpaceCoastDaily.com. Space Coast is the east coast of Florida with Melbourne, Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral. The Orlando Dreamers have announced they've secured nearly $1.5 billion in investor commitments to acquire a franchise. And they've also working to raise an additional $1 billion to finance a proposed stadium near SeaWorld. Okay? Now, and they have made it clear that they want either an expansion team or, wink, wink, an existing team. And they also have in Orlando the Walt Disney Wide World of Sports baseball complex, which, while it doesn't seat as many as the Steinbrenner Field, that's a moot point because they're not going to play in the Steinbrenner Field next year. This is a chance that if they truly have secured $1.5 billion in investors now, how much money would it cost to buy the Rays? Probably what, $2 billion? If they have narrowing in on the team, raising that additional $500 million, I know it's a lot for me, but the folks who are running the Dreamers, if they can say, hey, we can make this happen, we can make this work, and we could build a stadium in Central Florida, there's a sense I'm getting that this is going to be inevitable. Because what's the counter from Tampa Bay right now? Is there a Tampa Bay investment group that has secured 1.5 in investor commitments? Is there a Tampa Bay investment group that has a infrastructure to raise $1 billion? Now, there's a big difference between working to raise $1 billion and having $1 billion. It's the same reason why I'm still skeptical of what the heck is going on in Las Vegas. I'll believe that when they start actually building the damn thing. And working on raising $1 billion. I'm currently working on raising $1 billion as well. But raising that $1 billion would probably be a lot easier if we've got a team and they're going to be playing in Orlando. We don't know where they're going to play next year. Orlando is as good a shot as any. And I cannot stress this enough. I am not trying to say that I want the Rays to move. I made this very clear when I did the show at the final game in Oakland last year. I will never be cavalier about moving a franchise. I will never say, hey, those fans don't deserve it. Tampa Bay fans deserve it. If I had my druthers, and I don't, the Rays would stay in Tampa Bay. They would find a downtown stadium because that's where it should be. And they never got the shot. They never got the shot to prove themselves. Okay? But I also didn't want the Expos to move from Montreal. I didn't want the A's to move from Oakland. And I don't want the Rays to move. There comes a point where that comes inevitable. And if someone's showing up with money, and there are lots of little things you're hearing, you heard Manfred at one point said it would be a mistake for the A's to leave Oakland, and then now look at what's happening. They're crashing on Sacramento's couch, but don't tell anyone they're doing. They're not even allowed to mention that they're in Sacramento because they might move to Las Vegas. They may not. I have no evidence it's actually going to happen. The language that I'm hearing from Major League Baseball is all about we're working to keep baseball in Central Florida, not Tampa Bay. Now, if you take a look at the media markets, the size of the media market, well, I know that's not the best metric to have in the world, but the fact that Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg is ranked. This is, is ranked as the number 13 media market in the country, and the Orlando Daytona Beach Space Coast is listed as the 19th. So they're in the same general ballpark. And the Orlando group is saying, we're willing to do this. You'll have a place, you'll have a city, and you'll have a place that you'll eventually have a stadium and a home. It feels like it might be inevitable. And if they do, I do hope they change the name to Orlando Dreamers. I hope that they leave the Rays name in Tampa Bay, because it will be a whole new situation. Now I have a Yo Stick 34 is on the live stream here. He says there have been a few Tampa Bay investors who reached out to Stu to help sell them the team. I hope that happens. A move that seemed inevitable in the 1990s was the Giants moving to Tampa Bay. They were printing out the shirts and everything. And a group came in at the last minute. The McGowan group kept the Giants in San Francisco, where they became a model organization. Yo Stick, I hope you're right. I hope you're right, because that's what I want to see happen. I want to see an investor group from Tampa Bay show up and say, this is where they belong, because that's the market it should be. We've seen it's been a success in football. We've seen it's been a success in hockey. The only reason it hasn't been the success in terms of attendance, it is a success in terms of TV ratings. The only reason it's not a success in terms of attendance is because they built the thing in the 80s before they knew where to put it. So I'm just saying, I don't want them to move. But when someone shows up with billions of dollars, that's what gets baseball's attention. When someone shows up and says we can get public subsidies, which I've made it clear, this quarter I'm holding right now is 25 cents more than all the public money that is spent on stadiums should be combined. Public money should never be spent on stadiums. They're not public utilities. They're not public parks. It's a disaster to spend any public money. But do you know what? That ship has sailed. And I can scream at the tides all I want. And we may be screaming at the tides in terms of keeping the Rays in Tampa Bay, whether or not we want it or not, whether or not it's a good thing or not. I think it would be a good thing. I don't know about Orlando as a major league market. Don't talk to me about the tourism. People go to tourism to go to Disneyland, or I'm sorry, Disney World. I'm in Southern California. Disney World or Universal Studios or SeaWorld. I think did Gatorland burn down? I don't know. But Yostick, who's on here, asked me this question. This is a good question. Then we'll move on to the final segment. Do you think a move to Orlando will have the same issues as the A's going to Las Vegas will have? The other thing we'll do in the city will outweigh people going to a game. The A's moving to Las Vegas is totally different. That's a different state, a different region. You can make the argument that Sacramento is only a couple hours away from Oakland, or about an hour and a half. So you could keep some of the fans, especially those, if you have fans who live in Stockton or Modesto or Pleasanton, who have been going to A's games in Oakland, now go to Sacramento. I think that's similar if you have Rays fans who are from Orlando, or maybe from Melbourne, or from Cocoa Beach, or from, I don't know, Titusville or DeLand. How many more Floridian towns can I name? Indialantic, all right? Palm Bay. I could keep going. Cape Canaveral, boom. Let's go. How many more Floridian cities can I name drop here? You could make the argument that Orlando is a midway point between the Space Coast and the Gulf Coast, and they can just sort of be that region's team. I don't make that argument. The tourists are going to theme parks. They're not going to go say, oh, the Rays are playing the Brewers. The whole tourism thing is overrated, I think, unless, and this is where the Dreamers have to do something, and this is kind of what the design in Las Vegas is doing as well. They make the experience of going to the baseball game so different and making it a unique experience that you can only get there. That's what the design of the stadium in Orlando and for that matter, the design of the stadium in Las Vegas has to be something that is so wild and out there and unusual that going to the game becomes a tourist attraction. And if they do that, then Joe Stick, I hate to say this, and I know you're a good Rays fan, it very well may be inevitable. All right. Well, we got games going on today. Yesterday there was the Yankees lost the game to the Toronto Blue Jays, and it was a game, the kind of game the Yankees can't lose. First of all, the Blue Jays are a team they're they're not off to a great start, but they're hot on the Yankees' tail right now, and they got a start from Carlos Carrasco, one of their reclamation projects. Gave him a good start. He he pitched too many pitches, but he 5 shutout innings, and actually not that many pitches. But then the bullpen did their job until Devin Williams came in, and Devin Williams got smacked around, absolutely smacked around. Springer got a big hit, line drive. He hit Jimenez, a double by Kirk to give the Blue Jays the lead, and Barger got a hit to add on. Right now, Devin Williams has been nothing short of a bust. The Rookie of the Year from when would he won the Rookie of the Year in the COVID year? That's right. The Rookie of the Year, who has been a dynamic reliever for the Milwaukee Brewers. Well, since letting up that home run to Pete Alonso, he's been terrible. He has been terrible for the Yankees. He has 4 saves and 2 losses. His losses are catching up to his save total. He struck out 8 batters in 8 innings. Congratulations. He's let up 10 earned runs in 8 innings. He has been a Buster-Rooney his first month there. And, Nestor Cortez did as good a job closing in the World Series last year as he's been doing. And if I'm the Yankees and I want to end any rumors, I'm not. Put Luke Weaver back as the closer right now, because this is going to be an airtight race. You can't give up games to a rival like to the Blue Jays when Carrasco pitches really, really well. His first really good start of the year, you hand the game over because the closer stinks. Now, as a native New Englander who does not like the Yankees, I'm fine with him having a garbage closer. But you've got Luke Weaver, who did the job well, and now he has as many earned runs let up as I have. 0. You have a guy who has been a World Series caliber closer, at least for half a season last year, and he's sitting there setting up games, and Devin Williams has been garbage. It's only a month sample size, but if you want to keep going, go right ahead. Go right ahead. And tell you what, there was another game that another team that has to do something, and they did do. I'll give them credit. They did do one thing, and I'll mention what I'm saying. But you had the Yamamoto Skeens game the other day, and it was as advertised. Skeens was terrific. He pitched 6 1/3 innings. He walked no batters. He struck out 9 Dodgers along the way, and he is Paul Skeens is terrific so far. He leads the National League in innings pitched. He's been a terrific pitcher. But guess what? WAR. What is it good for? It is a way to take a look at a player, and Paul Skeens does not have the highest WAR on the Pirates right now. He doesn't have the highest WAR of a Pirate pitcher right now. That would be Andrew Heaney. Andrew Heaney has been great in his 5 starts. And, it's microscopic ERA, and he's, struck out as, about averaging 1 strikeout per inning. And they also have Mitch Keller. And Mitch Keller had a couple bad starts, but he looked really good his last start. And Dennis Santana's pitched pretty well out of the bullpen. And so why are we looking, if they have 3 terrific starters, why are we looking at an 11-16 record? Because I would bat 6th on the Pirates right now. Their batting is horrific. It's grotesque. And they got to do something about it. Now, I'll give them credit. They called up Matt Gorski the other day, and he homered in his first at-bat. Not that I think that he's going to be the second coming of Bobby Bonilla in their lineup, but he was doing well in AAA, and say, hell, let's just throw him in the lineup, see what we can get. That's what they need to do. Right now, the Pirates, right now, before I finish this sentence, have to go out and say, "Hey, folks, it's it's time to get any bat in this lineup." It almost doesn't matter what position they play because they can pitch. And this is the NL Central. Now, granted, the Cubs are off to a fabulous start, and they seem to be able to beat anybody. They could beat the Padres. They could beat the Dodgers. Yesterday, they shut out the Phillies. All the teams I thought were going to be legitimate pennant contenders, the Cubs are beating. So maybe I underestimated the Cubs in this division as they've opened up an early 3.5 game lead in the NL Central. Maybe they are the best team. Maybe there is a front runner, but it's still too early to do that. And the Pirates are too good a team in terms of their pitching staff to be sitting there at the bottom of the division thinking, I don't know, maybe we should sell. Well, you should sell. You've got 3 good starting pitchers at the top of your rotation. You should be, I don't know, get 2 okay bats because okay is better than bad. All right. I've had enough. I'm going to watch some baseball in the pouring rain. I got to walk the dog in the rain. Hey, trivia question today. It is born on this day. He is no longer with us, but born on this day at Niagara Falls in 1917. Sal the Barber Magley, was born on this day. 2-time All-Star, World Series champion with the Dodgers. He wound up pitching in several World Series, and his final start, he had terrible luck getting a loss in his final start in the World Series. Why was Sal Magley's final start that he ever made in the World Series a tough break for him? He pitched a complete game and let up only 2 runs. Why was it a tough loss? What game did he lose? That is the trivia question. And yeah. So follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they're calling it these days, and on Instagram. And you can follow me. I'm your pal Sully and Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Talking about Orlando, dreaming of a team and bringing the money to make it a reality. It's not saying what I want. I'm just starting to feel like that's going to happen. This has been Locked On MLB. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.